This is an interview with Heterochrome on Sunday, May 8th, 2022. Now, can you each introduce yourselves, starting with Arash?
Yes. First of all, thank you for having us. So my name is Arash, and I'm the producer and guitarist, and also the mix engineer for the album that we did with Heterochrome. And yeah, I currently live in Finland, but I'm from Iran. And yeah, I don't know what else. So yeah, that's me.
Mida?
Yeah, my name is Mida Malek, and I'm also originally from Iran, but I live in Vancouver now. And I'm the lead vocalist and lyricist and the co founder of the band with Arash. I'm an artist, and aside from being a singer, I also act and I write. Um, and yeah, I'm really excited about our new upcoming album.
Now, what was it like growing up as a music fan in Iran?
Well, it was actually I'm gonna answer this in like two different ways to be like as a like a music lover and like as a metal music lover. I think it's like two different things. Because like as a music lover, there's not much difficulty actually to actually love the music you want. It's just the problem with the live shows because like uh, it's really hard for the bands from outside Iran to play there. But like you would get access to music basically like any other country. So like it's no problem to be a music lover to per se, but then it's actually a different story when like it's the metal music that you love and like if you want to express yourself as a metalhead, that's a different story because then like it's kind of a difficult thing to actually look like a metalhead in public, and it had its own difficulties, but then like once you find the people who actually are like you, I guess it makes it easier. So like you just need to find the right circles, I guess.
Uh, Mida?
So for me, it was very interesting because when I was younger, I I grew up in a family. Both my close family and my extended family are very musical and very music oriented. So growing up, the first couple of years of my life were really different than the rest of my experience. Everyone was a music lover, and you were always pushed to listen to more stuff, and you were pushed to pick up an instrument. I started singing before I could even talk. And it wasn't until I started going to school and being in an environment where I was seen as a non-male person expressing, um, expressing interest in music and wanting to be a part of that scene, that I realized it's not um, it's not quite as accepted as it was in my closer circles. So it was definitely a weird experience to kind of something that has been a part of my life since I was born. All of a sudden became very dangerous, and it was funny because that moment I started to have these conversations with my parents, and my dad started telling me about how he would record like Metallica and Guns N' Roses songs on cassettes that looked like they had like recordings of Quran in it, and then he would kind of smuggle the harder music in the country, and it was interesting because it was both something that helped me bond, I guess, with my dad a little more with over music, but at the same time, it was something. I think it was one of the first times that I realized there are stuff I'm not allowed to do as a person who's not a man.
When you were younger, this is for both of you. Did you receive any music lessons in your schooling years, work with any private tutors, or attend any conservatories?
For me, like I said, because of the way that my family is, it was really important to them that I had access to basically all kinds of arts. I went to specific schools that were international preschools for. Um, I don't really know how I ended up in there, but my mom had very specific standards for some reason because we're not like a rich family, you know, we're a lower middle class kind of family. So it's not to say that like we had a lot of money and I had a lot of access to everything, but it was important for my mom to make sure I was in a neutral environment, I guess. So I had some very basic solfege and like basic music stuff like that. Mostly, it was just there was a lot of music around me happening.
And for me, it was kind of like I actually started music with a Persian instrument called Taar, which I started when I was 11 years old, I guess. I actually did not know what Taar was, and I started because of my dad. And I actually didn't like it that much. And at the time, I wasn't really into that kind of music. But then after playing it for 6 years, I started realizing that I have this passion for rock and metal. And I mean, I started listening to System of a Down and Metallica, and I was like, okay, the guitar sounds amazing on those like bands. And then my cousin actually gave me a guitar, and it was like, okay, yeah, play this guitar. And back in the day, it was a bit difficult to find like an electric guitar teacher in Tehran. So I had to like go like all the way across the city, which was like I guess an hour and a half drive to just go to my teacher every week. Once I was like going to college as well, and I guess that was when like the musical characteristic of my whole music career actually shaped. But then afterwards, I actually got to go to Berklee College of Music in Valencia, Spain, and I actually studied music production there, which was actually a big part of our second album as well. And then like most of the stuff that is in the album, I actually learned to do in Berklee. So I guess, yeah, that was my whole history with music.
What were some really interesting things you learned at Berkeley?
The most interesting thing that I actually got to learn in Berklee was to actually make connections with some people who are like huge in the industry. And like I actually, I mean, as I said, I was a huge fan of System of a Down. And then I actually had the chance to sit down and talk to the record engineer and then the mix engineer who like worked with them, and it was actually really cool to actually be able to hear the experiences from the people who are doing so big, like such big stuff in the industry, and like also like sitting in the mix sessions and the recording sessions of the big bands and stuff, and just looking at it, not even like asking questions or whatever, just looking at how these people work. It was actually kind of a game changer for me.
Now, how did your band form?
I think I can pass that to Mida.
That is a very fun question for us. I knew about Arash since we were in high school. We went to kind of, it's basically the same school, but I went to the branch that's for girls, and Arash went to the branch that was for boys. And we were both in robotic teams, and Arash it was a year above me, of course. And so I knew about him, but I don't think Arash actually knew about me anything. But like I had heard of him. but it wasn't. I didn't know that he makes music and likes making music until I went to university. And as fate would have it, he was also a year above me in the same university. And I was talking to one of my friends at the time about like making music and wanting to start a band, and he tells me about Arash, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know this person. Like I remember this person, and he was like, yeah. So if you want, Arash is my friend. I can introduce you guys. And I was like, cool, yeah, sure, why not? And I think he sent a sample of my singing to Arash, and then Arash contacted me, sent me some of the original songs that he was working on, and the rest is history. It was really fun. We got together for the first time. We started jamming, and it was like that's something special here.
You recorded this album in Iran, Finland, Canada, Spain, and South Korea. What were some of your favorite memories being in those countries during the recording of the album? And were you able to pull anything relating to the personalities of the countries into the album?
I'm gonna let Arash take that one.
Yeah, so this question is actually super nice because so the whole writing process for our second album actually started back in Iran when we were all still in Iran, and like it was a year before actually me and Mida actually immigrated out of Iran. So it actually started back in the day, and then I actually moved to Spain to study there, as I mentioned, and then also Mida moved to Canada. But then there was a weird phase between actually being in the same room writing music and then doing it over Zoom and like doing it from the distance, which actually was an interesting experience because like it was really difficult at first, but then we got better at it, and then we actually tried different stuff and remote recording and whatever, having our own setup and just like recording over Zoom and whatever. So that's how the demos were recorded. And then once we had the demos, it was time to just record the main thing. So the vocals were actually recorded in Canada and Finland. So I actually recorded my own vocals here in Finland, and then Mida went to a studio, and then I was in direct contact with the engineer, and then like Mida was singing in the studio, and I was talking with them through an iPad actually in the studio, which was like a really weird setup, but it actually worked fine. And so yeah, you can hear the result. But then also I actually traveled to Iran, and we recorded the drums in a studio called, I think, Shahr in Tehran, which is a really nice studio, and like they had really nice facilities there. And actually, we actually got to record the whole drums in 2 days there. And then like there were some other parts that was recorded in Spain, but like those were also remote recordings, and also in South Korea, which like one of my really good friends I actually recorded the cello parts in South Korea and then sent them over. But then I guess like each one of these recording sessions actually was a really unique experience because of the COVID situation. Actually, we were basically forced to do some of those stuff. And then, like for example, the artist that was recording in Spain, I could have just went there, but like because of COVID, we actually couldn't. But then also Iran was a different situation as well, because I know for a fact that like a lot of bands don't really record drums in the studio, which was also a new experience for the studio themselves, because they didn't record drums that much. But then also because of the fact that I actually got to record a bunch of drum sessions in Berkeley, I actually went down there, and then I started like doing the engineering by myself. And then they had a really good engineer themselves as well, but like the whole collaboration and having the drummer there, and then like trying to figure everything out on the go, it was actually a really nice experience, and then it all added to the whole album.
If you could pick your three most inspirational albums that helped you evolve as a musician, what would they be and why?
I think I'm a bit more sure about my 3 albums than Mida. Actually talked about this earlier. So like I think I'm gonna go with Toxicity from System of a Down, and then Lateralis from Tool, which was a huge part of my whole growing love for rock and metal. And then the third one would be I think Overgrown by James Blake, which is not a metal record. It's actually an electronic music record. But I actually like it changed my opinion about how music can be done. And yeah, I think I love James Blake.
For me, this was a hard question specifically because I don't really listen to albums as an album anymore that much. I guess you can say I've been touched by the 21st century a little harder. Like once you start streaming songs, it's a little harder to stick to listening to albums because I always have like shuffle on. So it's not unless there's a specific artist asking for their album to be listened to as an album that I sit down and listen to the album like front to back and make sure to like listen to every track on the album. But thinking about this question, and I had thankfully I had a few days to think about it. I think I can narrow it down to the album Earn from Neapolis Chorus. There's also Shadowmaker by Apocalyptica. That specific album I remember was very instrumental in how I started to think about making music. I think it shifted something inside me that helped me listen to music as a record maker rather than a listener, if that makes sense. Rather than a customer or a consumer, basically. And the last one, the third album that really left a mark on me was Beautiful Trauma by Pink, which came out in 2017, and it really inspired me to start some of the songs that you hear in this album. I started writing the lyrics after having the experience of what Pink did with how she dealt with the Trump situation and the Trump administration. So it really gave me a good angle on how I could be a better lyricist to myself, if that makes sense.
What are some instruments native to Iran that you'd like to see used more of in today's world of music?
I'm gonna go with Taar because I started with Taar, but yeah, that you can go on.
Sorry. Taar is definitely one of the most important ones. It's just such a unique sound. And there's also Kamaancheh, which just the sound is very strong, and it can make you feel a certain level of agony and solemn that not many other instruments I've heard can, give that feeling. So yeah, I think those two would be my my two go-tos.
Can you repeat the instrument you said?
Kamaancheh.
Is that a percussion or a string instrument?
It's a string instrument. It kind of looks like a cello, but it's smaller. It's rounder, and it's there's I think the most famous player that is world renowned is called Arash. Help me. Is it
Kayhan Kalhor?
Yes, thank you. I always get the last name wrong. I pronounce it wrong. So thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, the third instrument I'm going to go with Santoor, I guess. Santoor is also kind of a really nice instrument because like it's kind of like a piano, which is played with like hammers. But then like it also has such a unique sound. I really enjoy it. And also like the instrument that we mentioned in the beginning, Taar, we actually have some upcoming songs. Like we have recorded them, but like we decided not to release them with this record. But like we are going to release more songs that use like native sounds from Iran, which was kind of a unique experience for us.
Just out of curiosity, do you ever speak with Across Dakota, the Iraqi metal band, or Creative Waste, the grindcore band from Saudi Arabia, on how they've fared moving to and/or performing in America?
Not really. It was actually the first time I ever heard about those bands. But like we have respect for all the metal bands everywhere, or any musician that is like trying to survive in this crazy world. But like
Yeah,
we
making
have,
waves.
yeah, we actually worked with a PR agency that represented another band from Saudi Arabia. I think they were called Al Namrud, which was a black metal band, like anti-Islamic black metal band, which is like like the most legal thing you can do basically in there, which like was mind blowing. But I mean, we never got to talk to them or anything, but it's just I guess the respect that you can just pay to these people because like I actually played in a death metal band in Tehran, and we actually got to play a bunch of underground metal shows, and I actually definitely know what it's like to to be worried that like you can end up in jail for basically releasing something or like playing a show basically.
When it comes to the instrumental WOTB, I wonder what are some of your favorite instrumentals, and do you have any love for bands like Japan's The Flower Traveling Band? I'm in love with their album Satori.
Actually, I'm gonna grab that. So actually, thinking back to the journey that I had writing songs and everything, I guess I actually started out by just writing instrumentals, and then so the traditional Persian music is actually like there are a lot of songs that have vocals, but then there are also a lot of songs that like do not have any vocals, and they're just beautiful by themselves. And I guess when I actually started listening to Dream Theater, that was when I actually realized that okay, there is much more to the music that we listen to than just the vocals, and the instrumentals are as important as the vocals as well. And like listening to songs like Stream of Consciousness actually made me um, much more interested in the story that the instruments were telling. And then going to Opeth and Tool, I realized that those guys are also trying to figure out how to fit some instrumental sections in between the songs, and then in between the stories that they were telling to make some kind of transition. So that's what I actually tried to do with this song. I tried to create some kind of surprise, basically, for the listener when they're listening to the whole album. We have this transition from song to song, and then there's just a little bit of change in every song. And then going to this instrumental track, it's kind of like a break from what was happening in the first three tracks. So this is the fourth track in the album, and it was kind of like my way of telling the listener that okay, we have a lot of messages in the vocals and the lyrics that we are trying to sing in the songs, but then there's also a huge background in the instrumentals as well. So there's just as much message in the instrumentals. And like, for example, our drummer, he has done an amazing job of trying to figure out how to connect the pieces basically, and to like drive the force in the song. So I guess this instrumental track and then the other instrumental track that we did in the first album, these are unique break in the middle of the album to just make you think about the instrumentals as well, to just try to enjoy like music without vocals as well. But the band you mentioned, the Flower Traveling Band, I actually never heard of them, but I had to check them out, and it was really nice actually. But yeah, and I over the time I got to listen to a lot more instrumental bands like Russian Circles and similar bands, which was kind of really surprising because the music you hear nowadays is just almost all just vocals, and the vocals is just the most important thing in every song you hear. But yeah, it was just kind of a way to break the cycle, I guess.
Rage Against the People sounds like a play on the highly political band Rage Against the Machine. What, if anything, when it comes to changing how things are or bringing awareness to a particular set of issues, do you feel like your songs are able to do for the listeners of your music?
I actually have a lot of respect for Rage Against the Machine. They're a really cool band. But this song, the name actually has this kind of play with their name, but the content of the song, it's actually one of the only songs that we made that is completely 100% not political at all. It just focuses on human feelings and the interaction between the like people in our lives, I guess. And yeah, so the content of the song is not at all related to that, but yeah, I mean, this is kind of a paying the respect that we have for that band.
Yeah, but there are definitely a lot of issues that we try to talk about and tackle specifically in our upcoming album. And I think from the singles that have already been released, it kind of shows that it's more personal, very sociopolitical, if that makes sense. There's when your whole existence kind of starts being a political issue, then that's when political becomes personal, and personal starts becoming political, and it's kind of hard not to do it. So it happens a lot for myself too. Whenever I start writing, whenever there's something that gets me, either being a song that I'm writing, or a story or a play, I find myself being drawn into talking about those issues. And the truth is, I myself was, I think, a lot of my knowledge about how the universe works and my values came from listening to artists that I liked or reading books that I liked. And I think that artists have a lot of opportunity, if not responsibility, to try and help make the community better and take the community forward. Um, it's it's definitely been that way throughout history, and I think this is no different. So maybe not on purpose, but when I listen back to our album, there are a lot of issues that we tackle. We talk about being persecuted for being queer in Iran, and we talk about the global warming. That's a song that Arash started, and how the world politics is just um, dumping this issue on our generation, and there are very few action items that we actually can take. So, and then there's of course the travel ban and all of those issues that come up in our songs. It's definitely packed with a lot of message, if that makes sense.
For the song Outlaw, that was about Mida's fiance. Can you tell me the timeline on what was going on with you and how that song developed from the initial idea to the finished product on the album?
Yeah, definitely. It was so we we got engaged, me and my partner Sadaf, who's now my wife, and this was in 2015. So right when everyone was telling us that Trump would never be president. That's just impossible and would never happen. We finally, against all odds, found each other, and through a lot of personal heartache and hardship, we found each other, and it finally felt like, and it's like it finally felt like there was a moment of relief, if that makes sense. And we were starting to make plans for our future, and for the first time in a very long time, I had hope. And just as we were about to make our case and start our application, the election happened, and Donald Trump was elected president. And shortly after the travel, um, he issued to effect, and there, almost immediately, there were all places, and so it was a roller coaster of emotions. We were hopeful that it's not going to go into effect completely, and then we would hear news that no, it is going into effect, and then it's going to the Supreme Court, but then it's not going to Supreme Court because he's changing it. And then there are so many different things that whoever you started talking to, they would tell you, oh, but it's going to be a different situation because that's your spouse, that's your family. For families, it's different. It's going to be different for your spouse if you're a U.S. citizen. And it wasn't. And it was just, it kind of felt very personal, just the moment that I had started to feel hope, and I had started to feel like maybe the world wasn't trying to be super mean to me and horrible to me. This happened, and it was exactly when the second draft of the ban came into effect, and they finally said, because when the second draft came in, it became an issue of national security. Just for reference, for people who have not seen me, I'm a very tiny person, and my wife always laughs at this joke that they think I'm a threat. I'm 5'2", and very petite, very tiny person. It's very ridiculous. But because he used those wordings, that was it. They couldn't really fight it anymore, and we ended up being in a relationship long distance for 3 years until we could figure out like another way to get out of this. And it was the whole process, the whole process of, is it happening? Is it not happening? That roller coaster was a lot. So after that happened, I kind of had this moment of anger and rage, and I just sat down and I put all of it in there, and I told the story of, okay, this is this person. She's born in Iran, and she's different than everybody else around her, which is how I used to, and then just as she finds the love of her life and thinks that, okay, this is it. I'm being rescued. I'm being saved from hell. The world throws another curveball at them, and it was a very dark moment for me. I felt like I was toxic. I think maybe for a lot of people who are living on the sidelines and who are not, who are minoritized, this is a familiar feeling. At some point, you start feeling like maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the reason that everything is wrong for me and not my brother, who's literally the same as me, but just a man and straight. It definitely took me years to unpack all of that trauma, and the song definitely helped. Every time I get to play it live, every time I get to sing it out, and every time I get to talk to other people through the song, people listen to the song and then they come up to me and they tell me stories of themselves, of what happened to them. And I think people don't realize, but there are a lot of families that were devastated because of the travel ban. And there are a lot of families that are not allowed to exist because of stupid laws against, being gay, being a person of color, being things that are just a part of your human identity, I guess. So yeah, that song, that whole timeline was just me kind of trying to make sense of everything that was happening.
Do you feel like you draw energy from the struggles of Asian Americans as well as the exodus of the Ukrainian people enough to inspire another song?
Definitely. I think as we were talking about it a little while ago, most of the things that we talk about in our songs are not just problems that you deal with necessarily in one specific country. I mean, what's happening to Ukrainians has happened throughout the past years and the past decades to a lot of other countries and a lot of other people from different nationalities. And there's been the Syrian crisis, and there's been I don't want to get into it a lot. The whole point of it is that, and of course the horrible situation that we saw happening after COVID and the racism that kind of shaped it. People got to see the experience, because there are a lot of times that people don't realize that they're being the victim of, I guess, racism. And then there are moments like this that is kind of a wake-up call for everyone. And we're like, oh, okay, so I can't just put my head in the sand and pretend this is only happening to Black people and it's not really my problem. So to answer your question, yes, there's a lot about what's happening in the world right now that kind of inspires more, at least lyrically speaking, inspires more in me. I'm gonna let Arash also get a chance to answer to this one.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I'm going to say that doesn't matter which country we were born in, and like which country we are living in, or like which country we feel like we belong in. After all, we're just humans, I guess, and the struggles are shared, kind of. We can't just be silent about the pain of another human being in another country. And like, I know that it's impossible to take all the pain away. Maybe in a perfect world that would exist, but like, we're not living in a perfect world. And I guess like music is one of the most powerful tools that we have, and we have been lucky enough to make songs that would make people tell us, like, give us feedback about like it touching their lives. Like, we've had people contacting us from Sweden telling us that, okay, so yeah, I'm a disabled person, and like, my life is not that interesting, or like I don't have many things to be happy about in my life, but then listening to this song that you made actually makes me a bit more happy about the life I'm living, which was like the greatest thing that anyone can say about the thing you're doing. And then I guess music doesn't have any borders or languages. It's just international. Everyone can relate to it. And I don't think I don't see any reason why any specific country would be exempt from this. And then like we have songs that Mida mentioned that talk about this kind of issues that are global, or truly shared between everyone who lives on this planet. And then like I think, yeah, the pain that people are suffering from everywhere in the world is affecting those songs.
Can you tell me about your experience performing at the Shab Shanheba Festival?
Yeah, that was also an interesting experience. So one background that I need to mention here is that in order to be able to perform this kind of event in Iran, you have to go through a lot of regulations and go through a lot of I guess, paperwork to be able to get
Jump through a lot of hoops.
jump through a lot of hoops to basically persuade someone to give you permit to be able to play this kind of show. So we actually jumped through all the hoops and went through all the the rings of fire and whatever, and then got the permit to start playing. But then here comes the day of the show. Then you want to go on the stage, and then everything goes wrong. Basically having the lineup of the lineup that we have, basically there were problems coming up that were just ridiculous, and just having the stress of performing in front of 150 people is not enough. And then there were people coming to us saying that, okay, if you do this wrong, we're just going to cut the sound and then you're out.
First of all, they told me I'm not allowed to stand in the middle of the stage. I had to stand on the side and back, because there could be no illusion given to people that I'm the lead vocalist. Because God forbid, people think that there's a non-male main vocalist. And then I was like, okay, fine, I don't care. I what matters to me is being able to perform. So after having a fight with them for 5 minutes, I was like, fine, I'm gonna go stand in the back corner, hiding, so you can make sure that no one, God forbid, sees my face. And then they also came up to me and they were like, you can't be wearing that, you can't be wearing this. And then just before we go on stage to play, the dude comes up to me and is like, if I see your hijab going back on your head, I'm gonna pull you down right in front of everybody. And can you imagine, you're already stressed, you're about to go up there and you're about to I was also kind of the host, main vocalist. You kind of end up being talking through between songs as well, and kind of just talking to people, trying to get them hyped up. It's just something that always happens with bands. So I was just trying to put myself in that headspace, and then this dude comes up to me and he threatens me, and not to mention that throughout the whole thing, they kept lowering my voice. It was but my mic, so that my mic line would just I feel like at the end of the concert it was just silent, and people were just hearing me project. We were just lucky that it was a theater center, and me having that background in theater, I knew how to project my sound on the stage. But Arash can tell you about the recording that we got afterwards, and the sound engineering. It was just a horrible mess. You could see how because everyone else in our band are males, and that there shouldn't have been, speaking from their point of view, they shouldn't be paying for having a female singer, right? But I feel like it was one of the places where everyone got to feel what it felt like to be a woman in that country. And Ash, do you wanna talk about the whole recording that we got afterwards?
Yeah, but there's not much to say. It's just from the stuff that we already mentioned. It's just obvious that this was actually a necessary experience for us. So up to that point, we were always talking about we have to do this. We owe this to our country and to the people in our country and the friends that we have in that country, and to be a platform for them to talk about what they want. And then after this show, it was obvious for all of us that no, this is just impossible to continue and to make a career out of in Iran. As much as I love my country, it's not a place to be a musician, unfortunately. Specifically, not a metal musician. It's doable. It's doable. It's just takes so much energy, and it's just frustrating at a lot of different angles, and it's just too much at some point. So, for example, right before that show, it was just too much for us mentally to be able to like think about our music. Basically, that's what we started the whole thing, like to play our music and to enjoy our music. But it gets impossible to enjoy anything in that
They make
condition.
it about everything but the music.
What is your most cherished possession when it comes to your band, Heterochrome?
For me, it's that scarf. There is a scarf that you could see in the live show, the same one that we're talking about, because that was one of the only chances that we got to play live as a whole band. And that scarf my wife bought from a hard rock cafe. So it has like very cool guitar shapes on it, and the color scheme is very awesome. And I was wearing that on the night of the concert, and it holds a very special place in my heart because it was our first show, and I think that specifically is my most cherished possession.
I guess for me it would be the CD package, like the physical package that the memories that I have with it. It's like, well, so we're actually talking about the different Mission Impossibles to create an album in Iran, and this was like one of the steps as well to actually create a physical package, like like burn the CDs and like print the booklets and like buy the packaging, the jewel case and everything. And this was done in like the most extraordinary way possible. So like we had to go through 20 or 30 different 20 or 30 different publishers, and then they wouldn't print us the booklet, basically because we didn't have any permit to do so. And then we had to go through like the friend of a friend who actually works in a really shady alley. They just have a couple of printers and they printed out the whole thing. And then they couldn't burn the CDs because it was basically too much for them. They could just print a booklet. Then we had to go through the same thing to print the CDs and everything, and then like put it all together by ourselves. Just put them together, put like labels and everything inside. It was just too much. And the CD package that I have with me, it's a reminder of what it was like to actually get that thing in my hands. And like that was the first album we did actually create, and it was actually a really nice feeling to have it. And I guess I really cherish it.
Final words.
Final words. I guess I would like to. But we have already talked about the situation in our home country, and how it's like kind of impossible to be a musician. But still, like if you have the passion for it and you feel like you have to do it, then this is like something you need to do. And like we have a bunch of friends, musician friends, who are living there, and they need to be heard because they are extremely talented people. And it's just unfortunate to not be able to make your voice heard because you live in a certain part of the world, or like you speak a certain language, or like. And I feel like everyone who is doing this needs to be heard, and like voices matter. And thank you for like giving us this platform to basically talk about what we are doing, and giving the opportunity for us to share what it's like to do this kind of stuff there.
Now, what's a website people can use to get your album?
We have it up on Bandcamp. So we have our own website as well, heterochrome.com. And also we have the album already up for pre-order on Bandcamp. it would be available on May 13th. And yeah, I think Bandcamp is the place that you can check it out and buy it if you want.
Thank you. This has been an interview with Heterochrome on Sunday, May 8th, 2022 by Nick Burkell.